Hey guys, Darcy here from Last One Stand Strategy. So, made it to base camp, got my bed made, got my fire reflector set up, fire pit done, got a little bit of firewood, but I'm gonna cruise around while it's still light out, get some more firewood. Kind of general rule is get as much firewood as you think you need for the night, and then maybe triple that by 3. I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's a lot better to have more wood in the morning than have none at all. Okay, so I'm probably going to do a few other things while we're here. Might work on some traps and some snares just for fun, well, for practice. Yeah, not too much else. It's a pretty chill little area, man. It's not super far from town. Not a ton of animal action here. Found some bear tracks a few mornings ago, but other than that, it should be pretty uneventful that way. I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if you can see this, but basically you're seeing the end of a crazy battle. We've got one wasp stinging another wasp and chewing its brains out. It's just out looking for wood, and yeah, this is kind of what we just came across here, is this end of this battle. Before I had a chance to get my camera, these guys were duking it out pretty good. This is just kind of the end of it. God, I love these places. Okay guys, so I got some sapwood I brought from home. I've got a video on my Instagram on how to harvest this stuff, but I'll do a YouTube video soon. When you learn how to harvest this stuff here on the west coast of BC, you honestly can make fire in almost any condition. I've made fire in the rain, made fire on top of the snow with this stuff. Really amazing. So first thing I do is I like to make chips with it. So these kind of bigger pieces. Just working with the grain here. You can see these kinds of chips I like to make. Put a handful of them to the side. Some of that's relatively dry, like maybe on one of your rocks you're going to be using at some point to... There we go. Whoa, I'm getting eaten alive by skeeters here. It's okay, it'll make me make my fire faster. So I like to get a lot of these guys going because these chips, once I can get these chips going, I can get almost anything going. And it's, you know, it's been pretty dry here the last couple days, but I'm in an old creek bed right now, and just about everything's pretty wet around here. So we're just gonna make more than we actually need, just so that we're not rushing last minute to create more material. There we go. Okay, so we got a couple different sizes of chips. We got some pretty thick ones here. We got some skinny ones. So we're gonna use them in accordance to size. So obviously we'll use our fuzz, and our fuzz will get the smaller chips will get bigger chips will get the rest of our kindling. So to make my fuzz, hold my piece of fat wood down on the ground. I draw the knife here on this 45 with the grain. Now the trick is not to squish this stuff. Even if it falls on the ground, when you pick it up, try to pick it up somewhat gingerly, so that way you're not crushing it. You want to have as much volume as possible within the structure of it, really, because you want a lot of airflow in there. Because if there's not enough airflow, this stuff won't burn. Because otherwise, it'll just be like a pure sap ball. Okay, so I'm gonna throw a spark on here with my ferrocerium. Once I got that going, I'm gonna want to get these chips into the mix pretty quick. Okay, so as our fuzz goes, get my chips going. Okay, these guys burn pretty hot, pretty fast. So this is a part of the fire making process I really got to be sharp for. This could easily burn itself out. Laughing at myself while these mosquitoes are trying to eat me alive here. These guys are gonna get smoked right out in a minute here. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to burn pretty good. It's kind of like a napalm where it just goes and goes and goes. Okay, so now this is going to go down to the fire pit. Give me a nice base to work from. I start to bring in the rest of my tinder here. I'm using hemlock and some usnea. These guys together are a great combination. Throw the rest of my fatwood in there. Got some sticks here. Bringing my sticks over top of this. I like to layer these kinds of fires, so I'm going to grab some more. My hemlock. And hemlock's one of my favorites because it's got a lot of resin in it. It really gets the fire going. Even if the stuff doesn't look like it'll burn, find hemlock will often burn pretty good. Now we're throwing in some cedar, a little maple. Really, my first kind of game plan is to just build a bed of coals. Not expecting to build the kind of fire I'm going to cook from here in the next probably 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Just really working on getting a nice bed of coals going. So that way as the night goes on, I can just throw a bit of wood on it here and there. And yeah, it'll keep me warm for the rest of the night. And realistically, if it was going to rain, it would keep me dry. But weather right now, I don't think we're going to have any rain anytime soon. Yeah, so again, kind of wait for it to die down a little bit. I'm going to throw some more hemlock on there, some more cedar. I'm not planning on having this big of a fire all night. Not that it's a big fire, but I'm not planning on having a fire this big. But just for now, while I'm kind of drying out the fire pit, I really want to make sure that I get a solid bed of coals going, so I don't have to run around in the middle of the night and redo this. So okay, so fire's going pretty good. Went got some water from the stream from my teapot. Got myself some wild lettuce, some cedar, some hemlock, and some devil's club root. Okay, so I'm going to throw these into my teapot. I'm going to boil these down. This is one of those kind of wild food, wild medicine things. A lot of nutrition stashed in these. Really easy to get at. I can't imagine how somebody would ever starve or run out of calories here. There's just so much going on, and we haven't even harvested any mushrooms. There's a ton of different mushrooms growing right now. I just don't feel like cooking them. Or I could harvest some red belted polypores or some artist conchs, which there's tons of. They just require a bit more boiling. And I'll probably grab some of those a bit later when it gets darker out and I feel like cruising around. But just for now, just gonna get my tea boiling. A little extra nutrients, a little extra power. It's interesting though, you know, they're really, when we're learning about plants, they're really specific in describing the plant. Same with mushrooms, really specific. Something like wall lettuce or something like nettles, with the right amount of sunlight, depending on where it's growing, will actually get more of a redder stalk instead of a completely green stalk, which is what it's going to be in the book. They're going to describe green stalk, green leaves, blah blah blah. But with enough of the right sun, same with chickweed, the stalk will start to go kind of a reddy purple. Interesting observation. Haven't seen in a lot of books, but yeah, take a look for yourself. They're good plants to know. These light, easy to find leafy greens, we often call them weeds, but they're overlooked. They're overlooked nutrition, overlooked upgrades, you could call it, because they speak to us in a different way than the supplements of nowadays, which are just basically just formulated, you know, formulated in labs. Whereas we're out in the woods and we're harvesting wild plants, we're getting stuff that has, you know, it's the absolute pinnacle of its freshness. By doing so, we're getting it before any of the enzymes have started to break down any of the active ingredients that we might want. There's all kinds of things that happen in the process of drying and preserving, whereas when we're utilizing this stuff fresh, it's helping to build us in a totally different way. What am I doing right now? Hard to see. Got a piece of bank line here. I'm reverse wrapping this bank line to make it twice as strong. Why? I don't know. It's just practice. Just one of those things, right? Just keep your hands busy. Keep your body learning. Keep training. Training mind. What do they call it? The white belt mind. Really smart. Really smart. Keep your options open. Oh, yeah, so it's about time to go to bed. Throw another log on, maybe a couple, and then start to doze off. Did some reading about the old Shinobi. It's always fun. Old skills and how they used to talk about them. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Morning, guys. So last night was pretty good. I was actually surprised. I thought we were gonna have a little more action, possibly from some critters, or you never know. But it was comfy. Yeah, it was pretty good. Fire burned all night. You can see burned up all the wood that I had. Really cozy, really comfy little spot here. I mean, look, we just got this little bit of space to heat, really. Right? We got this reflecting wall, sending all that heat back. Only about 3 feet or so. Yeah, pretty nice though. Pretty decent. Amazing morning course this morning. Unbelievable. Always reminds me why I like to sleep in the woods. Listen to all the birds wake up. Pretty cool though. So we're gonna start heading back here in a few minutes. Gonna stop by a couple spots, show you guys what the wild lettuce looks like. I'm gonna show you guys some oyster mushrooms that are pretty close to here too. We're gonna harvest. So we got some lunch. Here's that leafy green I was telling you about. This is the wild lettuce, or as some call the wall lettuce. It's a really strong bitter, good for your liver and for digestion. It's a nervine, so it's actually a really nice sedative, but also good at kind of rebuilding your nerves if there's been any damage. Notice how there's no white fine hairs underneath it. If it did have that, there's a good chance it would be Pathfinder. We rip it open with that white milky liquid, the latex-like liquid in it. Another good sign that this is the wild lettuce. When we chew it, super bitter, really strong medicine-like taste. There's only a couple of lookalikes around here. One of them is nipplewort, which actually doesn't look anything like it. And then the other one would be Pathfinder, and Pathfinder is a pretty good giveaway on the little white hairs underneath it. Worth learning though. Super easy to find, extremely abundant here. Again, learning the most abundant foods is probably your best bet in any survival situation. Okay, let's go find those oysters. So this is the oyster mushroom that I was telling you guys about. These guys are looking real good. You can see they're fruiting way up the tree there. They go all the way down the bottom here. This is not just a really good survival food to learn, but this is a really good food in general to learn. Do some research, Google scholarly articles, oyster mushroom. You'll see all kinds of really cool research that's coming out to do with heart health and diabetes connected to this mushroom.